For 18 years, I poured myself into that fund. Long nights staring at numbers until my vision blurred. Early mornings with coffee in hand. Running market reports before the sun even thought of rising. I wasn't just managing my father-in-law's investment fund. I was building an empire out of other people's trust. Billions in returns. A reputation that turned his family name into gold. And I thought foolishly that it meant I belonged. Then one afternoon he called me into his office. His voice was cold, measured, as if we were strangers and not family bound by blood through marriage. He didn't even look at me when he said it. "My son John will replace you. Clean your desk for him." The words hit harder than any betrayal I'd ever known. 18 years gone in a sentence. My hands trembled on the chair's armrest. My mouth went dry. I wanted to shout, to demand why, to remind him who had carried this firm on his back while John floundered in one failed startup after another. But all I managed was a whisper. "You can't be serious." He looked at me then, with the cold certainty of a man who had already made up his mind. Family is family. You were just convenient. Convenient. That word cut deeper than the dismissal. Convenient, like I was a tool, a placeholder until his bloodline was ready to reclaim what I had built. I walked out of that office shaking, my chest hollow, my throat tight with rage I couldn't express. But the real devastation waited at home. When I told my wife I expected anger, solidarity, maybe even comfort. Instead, she just sighed, as if she had been waiting for it. "You knew this was never going to last," she said, her tone flat, detached. "I gave him 18 years, I snapped. "I gave you 18 years. Doesn't that matter?" She didn't answer. She turned away, folding laundry as though my world wasn't collapsing at our feet. It was in that silence that something shifted. My marriage, already strained, cracked wide open. The truth came days later, slipped out during an argument that spiraled from money to loyalty to love. "Maybe if you weren't so obsessed with his company, you would have noticed I needed more," she shouted, her eyes flashing with something more than anger, guilt. I froze. "What do you mean by that?" She hesitated too long, and that was all it took for me to know. It wasn't just her father who had betrayed me. It was her too. Months, maybe years, she had been slipping away. And when the confession finally came, it was worse than I imagined. Not just anyone. She had been with someone close. Her brother John. The same man who was set to take my place. The same man I had trained to understand the business. The same man her father was elevating above me. She admitted it through tears. But they weren't tears of regret. They were tears of fear, of being caught. My stomach churned, my skin went cold. My world, my marriage, my career, all of it had been orchestrated against me, and I had been too blind, too loyal to see it. The company I built wasn't mine. The woman I loved wasn't mine. The family I thought I belonged to had only ever tolerated me until their real heir was ready. I left that night driving aimlessly, headlights cutting through the dark, while my mind replayed every moment of the last 2 decades. Every sacrifice, every holiday spent at the office, every late night I thought I was working for a future with her. And all the while, she was already gone, slipping into someone else's arms, someone else's bed. I thought about revenge. God, I wanted it. I wanted to burn the company to the ground, to expose them all. But when the rage settled, what was left was grief. Grief for the man I had been. The one who believed in loyalty and family, in building something that mattered. That man was gone. In his place was someone harder, someone quieter, someone who finally understood that sometimes betrayal doesn't come from enemies. It comes from the people sitting beside you at the dinner table, smiling, while they sharpen the knives. When I packed my things from the office, John was already there, smug in my chair, his tie crooked, his hands on the desk I had polished with years of sacrifice. He smirked at me, and for a brief moment I imagined driving my fist into his face. But instead, I handed him the keys. "Don't screw it up," I said, though my voice was hollow. I walked out without looking back. The garage at home was empty when I returned. She had left, her closet stripped bare, her ring placed neatly on the counter. A note sat beside it. "I'm sorry, but this is the life I choose." I laughed when I read it. Not a joyful laugh, not even bitter. Just a hollow sound from a man who finally saw the truth. For 18 years, I thought I belonged to them. But I never did. And as I stood in the quiet house, ringless, jobless, betrayed, I realized that maybe losing it all was the only way to finally be free.